If you remember, when you sat down to write Facebook during that reading period, what was the first thing you wrote? Like when you had enough code to test something to see if it worked, what was it? What did you test?
I don't remember then what the first thing was that I wrote, but it actually, the first code for Facebook started way before then, right? So I, like probably a lot of you guys, just built a lot of stuff for myself. All throughout my childhood, I built games that I wanted to play. I built a music player that I wanted. I tried to build stuff that I really wanted for myself, right? And I was young. I wasn't building very high quality stuff. It was just stuff that I wanted, not for anyone else. And then when I got to college, I started wanting to build products that would let me get insight into the community around me and let me connect with the people around me. And that had the property that you can't actually just build something that only you use. If you want to be able to connect with people around you, you have to start building software that other people are going to use as well. So I actually...
You mean like Face Mash?
Well, before that, it's actually one of the... it's that stupid movie makes everyone think that Face Mash was this critical thing. But actually, a lot earlier than that, in my sophomore year, one of the first things that I built that was kind of like this was actually called Course Match. I don't think we've talked about this that much in any of these startup schools. It was, I was trying to figure out what classes I wanted to take my sophomore fall, and I wanted to see what other people who had taken the CS classes that I'd taken wanted to take, and what my friends were planning on taking and what they'd taken in the past. But there was no database like that was out there, so I thought, all right, well, how can I do this? So I went and I wrote this little script that scraped the course catalog and let people put in what classes they wanted, and I called it the Course Graph. And that was actually the first time. Yeah, I mean, it was actually, I made the mistake of running the website from a laptop in my dorm room, and my desk was right next to the bathroom, and there was constantly steam pouring out of that from people showering, so the laptop actually fried, and I lost that one after a few weeks of it running. But that was the first time that I had ever really set up a production, Apache server or MySQL server, or a lot of that stuff, and then, a lot of those things, then when I went on to build later stuff, I had those lessons, and I knew that I could set those things up quickly, so those were just building blocks on top of which to build future things.
Did people put their classes in it? Did you use it to decide what to take?
Yeah, no, it was 1,000 or 2,000 people out of,
really?
It was 6,000 people at Harvard used it. Yeah, so, I mean, it worked fine. It was actually really interesting. People spent so much time just clicking through the links of people to see what classes they were in, and then in the classes they clicked on people who were the roster of the people, and I thought it was going to be interesting, and I wanted to solve this problem, but it was actually just way more compelling. And part of my theory at the time was, I looked at all the other types of content that were out there on the internet, right? It's like you could search for any music or news or content or reference material that you wanted, but part of my theory at the time was that people were really missing from the internet, right? And there were no services like that. And that's why I built some of these services that went in that direction, but I still think people are largely missing from a lot of the software that we build, which is why I'm focused on building this development platform today as part of Facebook, so that way the next generation of software that the industry builds can just be more human.
So every app that people build has this sort of additional dimension now, where you can sort of see what other people are doing too.
We're trying to go in that direction.
So you knew by the time you started Facebook that if you made some website, you could get thousands of people to show up to it.
Well, I didn't have a choice. I knew that if I wanted to do this, that I had to build something that would get people to use it. I didn't know if I could actually do that. So,
but it must have been a little bit surprising that thousands of people showed up and put their courses on, right? And if people would show up for something that wasn't even intended to draw thousands of people, you could probably do it again, right?
Well, yeah, and then I did a few more, and I was really focused on this idea of channeling a community's energy to build some kind of shared asset, whether it's the course graph or ultimately Facebook.